Hi, and welcome to Curves and Vows. I'm Christine, Swish and Click Photography, based in Houston and Toronto. And I just want to welcome you to the third episode of Curves and Vows. We're going to have some fun today. If by fun, we continue our trend of heavy discussions about existing in a larger body and planning a wedding, then yeah, it's going to be so fun. Yeah. Okay, so today's topic is actually going to be a personal story that I'm going to share about plus size inclusion when it comes to local publications. I will get into the nitty and gritty in a little bit, but let's just say that everything that we talked about in episode 2 rears its ugly head in episode 3, but with a personal experience, which is super fun. So before we dig into all of that, I would like to do a Reddit story that I feel is actually very timely, and I talk about this quite a bit on my website and social media. So this one is called Plus Size Brides. Make sure your photographer is plus size friendly. So the writer says, "Hey all, I don't see a lot of posts specific to my fellow plus size brides, so I wanted to share my experience. I love my body and I think I am beautiful. This is not a depressing post. Anyway, we hired a photographer who was recommended by a family friend. They were great at what they do and their sample photos were gorgeous. However, I did not see any sample photos of plus sized people. All the photos from prior weddings were petite brides. I didn't think much of it because, of course, being plus size in the wedding world, I never found many examples of brides my size. I'm between a dress size 18 and 20 with a large bust, larger arms, and a squishy belly. Fast forward to the wedding day, and I noticed that the photographer was asking us to do poses that I knew would not be flattering for my body. I flat out refused to do some, like he wanted me to bend over and hug my husband while he was kneeling. I knew my chest would be way too scandalous and asked to do something else. He was taking photos from down closer to the ground to get the full dress, but I was worried that would really not be flattering to my body. I trusted the process, and I've learned to accept and love my body as what it is. I didn't feel like I was getting my body in the best shapes and angles. We got the photo link today, and I have been cringing looking through the photos and the angles and the lighting. They are all not flattering to my body shape at all. There are a few cute ones, but definitely not many. I wonder if this photographer has ever taken photos of someone my size. This is all to say, I Googled plus size photos after the fact, and there are some gorgeous wedding photos with some great angles and poses. My advice to my fellow plus size brides is to find a photographer who's photographed big and beautiful bodies. You'll be glad you did. I wish that I had. If your photographer doesn't have samples of bigger brides, then maybe try another one. Certain angles and poses and lighting just don't do it for us, and you want a photographer who understands that. Good luck all." I could not have said that better. And that's actually why I started my workshop, because I wanted to get photographers, and videographers. Did I say photographers twice? Photographers, videographers, and content creators to be able to work with and pose plus size people for all sessions, but also weddings in a way that is beautiful and classic and gorgeous and shows us off in the best light possible. And I know that we can do it. I just, as I said in episode 1, I haven't seen a ton of photographers able to do it in a way that's stunning. Sometimes it just feels like we're being phoned in, like capturing us is just like homework to them, and not like, this is gorgeous, we're going to honor your body and your gown and everything that you've decided to do, and we're totally jazzed and into it. You can pick it up when you're not feeling that vibe with your photographer. So yeah, unfortunately, that is a really common experience for a lot of people. I wish that I, on my wedding day or before my wedding day, had looked through several galleries of my photographer or requested photos of plus size people so I could see what she had done, because I didn't think about it either. And although my photos are all right and I'm not totally upset about them, there's some poses and things that were done that didn't honor my body, and I'm glad I wasn't asked to lean over my ex-husband for photos as he's kneeling on the ground, because that would not have been flattering. And I'm really glad that they didn't shoot from underneath me because, again, you never want to shoot up someone's nose, just in general. We don't do that. But yeah, I'm just glad that it mostly turned out really well. So now I want to get into discussing what happened to me when I was backstory around during the pandemic, I decided to Brides of Houston, which is now called Wed Society, and I locked in for 2 years because I was seeing some bigger names in our industry, part of their publication and their Instagram, and I thought to myself, well, if they're on here, then it must be working for them and they must be booking weddings, so why not? And during my tenure with them for the 2 years, each year there was something pretty heinous that went down with them, but this one really, really took the cake. So myself, a wedding planner named Alyssa, and a gown shop owner named Haley, we decided to come together and do photos for Alyssa's profile that featured a plus size bride. And I'm not talking a bride that is considered acceptable fat, which we discussed in, I think, the second episode of my podcast. This bride is, I'm going to say, like a size 22. I'm not really sure. I've never asked her size, but she's not a size 14 or 16. So we were very specific and strategic in who we chose. She's incredibly beautiful. I've actually photographed her wedding. And so we took these photos so that it would get published in print in their magazine. So we're all excited. We're buzzing. Alyssa makes her choices for the photos that she wants featured in the publication. We're all good to go. We've told the bride she's going to be in this magazine in print. Like, we're all really excited. And then we get to the day of the magazine release. Wed Society holds parties every single year when they release a publication in print. They used to do it twice a year. I think it's down to once a year now. I don't really pay attention because I'm no longer advertising with them, and you'll find out why really soon. So we're at this party, we're feeling good, and then they start rolling out the magazine. And so we flip to Alyssa's profile excitedly. I'm at the bar when Haley and Alyssa get to the page. I'm just grabbing a drink and I'm making my way back to them. And I see their faces and I'm like, something's happened. Something has gone down. They are pissed. And so I reach them and they tell me she's not in it. All they did was show photos of the details from the shoot and they did not include the bride at all. And as I'm looking at it, I'm like, what is happening? The rep for Alyssa, and we all have different reps within the magazine who, I guess, handle us and work with us on things and try to make our profile as perfect as possible. And she's like, isn't it great? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for your feature, blah, blah, blah. And Alyssa turns to her and says, where's this specific photo that I asked to be in there that features the plus size bride? And her face drops a little bit. And then she says, oh, I don't know if your photographer released those photos to us. My face, my face dropped. And I just turned to her and I said, no, I'm the photographer. And you know I released those photos to you. And she turned white as a sheet. And she tried to start backtracking. And honestly, there was nothing she could say. The damage had been done. And the bride was not in the publication in print, and it just undid all of the hard work that we had done because this publication has struggled for years with including anyone who exists in a larger body to be featured in it, especially in print. So to have this happen to us, and I was the one who had to phone the bride and let her know that they had somehow not put her in it. When she had told like friends and families that she was going to be in this magazine in print, and then she wasn't in there, it was just so disheartening and it made me furious. I was livid and thankfully I had done most of the work that I needed to for this publication. So I just let my subscription just roll out and I never rejoined and I don't ever plan on coming back to them because not only did they not include the plus size bride that we had specifically asked for, we told them specific image numbers, but then they tried to throw me under the bus and say that I was the reason why she wasn't in the magazine. No, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. Why would you say that? Why wouldn't you say, you know what? I don't know what happened. I need to look into it. Can I get back to you? Instead of trying to throw someone under the bus. I don't get it. And they did do a whole blog feature of the shoot, which they hadn't intended to do because it was going to be in print to try and make up for it. But I will be honest that myself, Alyssa, and Haley, we never renewed our subscription. We didn't renew, and we left with the most sour taste in our mouth. So it was just so disheartening. Even when you do your best and you tell them what photos you want to have in the publication, it still doesn't happen. It's like there's just some sort of virus and they just catch the I'm not going to show off someone who exists in a larger body in our publication virus. And it's just kind of disgusting. So that was a really fun time. And every year that I see that they're having their party and every person who attends their publication launch party, I posted about this on Instagram and on TikTok, and I will reshare my videos of what happened to be like, hey, I noticed that you're at the Wed Society thing today. Just so you know, this is how they treat and approach showing off plus size bodies. They don't like to do that. And even when you try and force their hand, and I wouldn't really use the word force their hand, but when you try and have a situation where they have to show off that plus size body, they will find a way not to do it. It's crazy to me. So yeah, that's my fun publications don't like us story. And yeah, very, very disappointing. And I think if you look at the photos of the bride, which I'll put some more here, you can see that she is beautiful and that those photos turned out really well. So it's hard to understand why she would be deliberately left out when we requested that she would stay in and be in there. So this is just a lot of a larger conversation about the visibility of people who exist in larger bodies, both online and in print. We're going to have some coming episodes soon. I'm starting to do interviews with people, and we're going to start digging into the psychology of existing in a larger body, phobia in society, clothing options that we have available to us, size, all that sort of fun stuff, about the shareability of our bodies from both like a photographer perspective and a videographer's perspective, because it's different for each one. And we're just going to start digging into a lot more because there's so much nuance behind getting married and existing in a larger body. That we really haven't touched on yet. And I think that we're going to have some really great conversations about what it's like to walk a path where it's really difficult to feel like you're included in the wedding industry when you don't see yourself. And also getting married, having your photo taken, and when you're the type of person who, because of shame and probably like outside influences telling you that you don't look great because you're not thin, that you don't look at yourself in the mirror, so you don't know what you look like. So when you get photos taken, you're just like crawling out of your skin, anxious as heck. So, and then seeing those photos and being extra hard on yourself because you're not used to seeing yourself. So we're going to dig into all of this in coming episodes, and I can't wait for us to do that. It's going to be so good. So I thank you for showing up for this really personal story that I had. Episode 3. Not lighthearted yet. You're welcome. Again, my name is Christine, and my business is Swish and Click Photography, based in both Houston and Toronto. And yeah, I would love for you to continue listening to Curves and Vows. And if you have any questions or comments, you know what to do. I would love to hear them. And again, if you're going to leave anything negative and trolling, I'm just going to delete it. But there's just no space here for negativity. We already experienced that a lot. So no, all positive, fun stuff. Open questions, like if you're curious because you've always existed in a smaller body, bring that to the table, absolutely. And yeah, I can't wait to see you for episode 4. Have a great day.